everyone. I'm Darlene Rochford, the Parliamentary Secretary for Armed Forces Development and Veteran Services and the Military Liaison, and I'll be your MC for the event today. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, known as Cousepsum and Songhees Nations, and thank them for having us here today. We are here to share some exciting news about supporting economic growth in British Columbia and sharing prosperity. We are joined by some incredible speakers who will share more details on today's announcement and what this can mean for BC. Today we'll have Premier Eby, Minister Ravi Kahlon, our Minister of Jobs and Economic Growth, Leann Collins, Director for Projects and Stakeholder Relations for the Association of British Columbia Marine Industry, and Wendy Hurlburt, President and CEO of Life Science British Columbia. Thank you to those who are here to support this announcement with what will boost our BC's economic growth. To start us off, please join me welcoming Premier David Eby to the podium.
Thanks, Darlene. It's great to see everybody here. And, Darlene's leading our work with military families on the Seamless Canada initiative and doing some really incredible work for the province and for military families. I just wanted to thank you for doing that. We're here at the Victoria base where Department of Defense works. It's not a coincidence. Really glad to be here with you today. We're joined by leadership from Life Sciences BC and from ABCMI. Very excited to talk about growing our life sciences sector, our defense and marine industries here in the province, and look forward to the conversation we're going to have today. There's no question we're living through a period of remarkable global change. The Prime Minister called it a rupture. And it's moments like this that really separate the places that are going to lead and seize the opportunities from those that are going to wait for things to happen to them. British Columbia is going to seize this moment. We have everything that the world needs. We have our deep water ports with access to fast-growing Pacific markets. We have the resources that the world is looking for. We have the industries that can deliver for Canadians and assist the federal government in achieving their goals. We have the skilled workers who can design, build, and deliver complex projects, leading edge research, and a fast-growing life sciences sector. Our strengths are real, and in a changing world, they matter more than ever before. But it's not enough to be strong in these sectors. It requires all of us to work together to turn those strengths into opportunity for British Columbians, jobs, prosperity, and revenue to deliver the public services that British Columbians count on. That's what our Look West strategy is all about, and Minister Kahlon will be up to talk about that. It's about how British Columbia can position ourselves to seize the opportunities and align with the work of the federal government, presenting this particular pivot point for Canada. Here in BC, we're cutting permit times. We're getting projects with shovels in the ground faster than ever. Every 3 months for the last year, we have approved either a new major mine or major mine expansion, reflecting $4 billion of investment and thousands of jobs, with more to come. We've been using the BC Manufacturing Jobs Fund to leverage billions of dollars of investment, grow local businesses, and add value to our resources here at home. Through the Look West plan, we're targeting $50 billion of investment in this province in the next 12 months and $200 billion over the next 10 years. And in this budget, we have $250 million dedicated to training British Columbians so that they're able to take advantage of the jobs that these huge investments in our province will be offering. Because British Columbians need to be at the front of the line when new opportunities come along. We're seeing real results, actual investments in the province, real jobs. We need to keep that momentum going. There's so much more to do. And that's why in the budget, we set aside $400 million to create a new BC Strategic Investment Fund. In short, this is about giving us the ability to move quickly when big opportunities come along. And that is especially the case when private industry and the federal government are looking for a provincial partner to land an investment and putting billions of dollars on the table. Also in the budget legislation, are the tools that allow us to not just write a check to a company to locate in British Columbia, but actually to participate with the company and to benefit with the company on behalf of British Columbians as that company delivers profits and opportunity. That's through things like loans, through taking equity in the companies, and also through profit participation. That means projects still have to stand on their own. They have to be profitable. They need a solid business plan. They'll have to qualify. They'll need strong partnerships like the federal government and deliver real economic value for British Columbians. And when these projects succeed, British Columbians will participate in the upside as well. This fund will be a key tool to attract major national investments to British Columbia, including opportunities tied to the Defence Bank proposal that we're advancing right now through the private sector bid that's going forward, as well as Canada's defence industrial strategy. This puts us in the position to compete and win for these major investments. Here's what it means at home. It means more jobs and opportunity for you, higher paying jobs, projects built faster and more investment flowing into communities across the province in every part of British Columbia. And importantly, increased benefits for taxpayers. When we participate with these companies in the upside, it delivers revenue that we can use to pay for public services without turning to taxpayers. So when companies grow, hire, and succeed, it creates a virtuous circle that benefits everybody. More revenue for healthcare, schools, and infrastructure that you rely on every day. It's a smarter way to support growth, and I'm really excited about the opportunity that it presents. Now, in addition to today's announcement about the Strategic Investment Fund, I did want to take a brief moment. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take a brief moment just before questions to talk about another issue. This is a time of huge opportunity for British Columbians, and we are going to seize this moment. The window will not be open forever. I know that the opposition Conservatives oppose this fund. I heard them speak in the House against this in their budget speeches, and this is an important distinction between our approach and their approach. We believe that by partnering with private sector industry, by partnering with the federal government, by all of our boats being lifted together, we can bring benefits like jobs and prosperity to British Columbians. And the Conservatives do not support that approach. It's an important distinction that people should be aware of. That is the work that's ahead for us. That is the opportunity that's on the table for us, and we are going to deliver. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us here today, and I'd like to pass it back to our MC. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Premier. It's great news here for BC. It reflects BC's commitment to compete nationally, attract private sector investment, and grow our provincial priority sectors. Next, I'd like to welcome someone who works tirelessly to grow BC's economy and create opportunities across this province. Please welcome Minister Ravi Kahlon, Minister of Jobs and Economic Growth.
It's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Darlene, for the introduction. I want to also acknowledge some of the guests that we have here today. Leann and Wendy will be speaking shortly. I want to welcome them here. I too want to acknowledge we're on the traditional territory of the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. Excited to be here today to take a next step in BC's economic future and for our prosperity. BC has some of the best businesses in the world. Many of them want government to be able to partner with them in their opportunities and in their growth. There is so much innovation that's happening right now in British Columbia in clean tech, dual-use technologies, advanced manufacturing, critical minerals, aerospace, life sciences, and the list goes on. But there's, of course, as many people are following, a lot of global uncertainty. And right now, capital is very challenging. Companies are bringing us projects that will benefit British Columbians. They'll create good paying jobs. They'll make us less reliant on the US. After many discussions with business leaders, what we've heard from them is that they need sometimes a little bit of capital to make sure that their projects can be viable and can create good paying jobs and get across the finish line. For almost 25 years, governments have supported companies through direct grants. Lots of success in creating jobs, direct and indirect groundbreaking projects. A recent example is our investment of $75 million into Accelera in Vancouver, which leveraged $625 million from federal government and private sector investments, created 400 jobs, also benefited our local drug development and clinical trials, helping solve some of the world's most challenging healthcare problems. Now, more than ever, we need to keep this momentum rolling. Keep bringing benefits to British Columbia and make sure there's benefit for all taxpayers in British Columbia. So when government uses tax dollars to partner with businesses, taxpayers deserve to share in that success. That's why we're launching this fund, supported by new legislation through direct equity, loans, and other tools. We're making sure that investments that benefit from government partnership also benefit all British Columbians. We're already hearing from countless businesses that want to partner. I'm excited about the opportunities that are ahead of us and for the opportunities that present us to unlock potentially $20 billion of the Canada's industrial defense funding that we know is coming online. This is all part of our Look West economic strategy. It's a generational opportunity to capture the moment. And part of our strategy we've laid out that we want to double exports to non-US markets. We want to secure 35% of the federal defense vessel contracts. We're boosting our life sciences and economic impact by 75% by doubling employment in that sector. We want to grow economic value in tech by 75%, doubling the employment to 400,000 people across British Columbia, among other important goals that we have in the strategy. BC has everything we need to succeed. 40% of the federal major projects are here in British Columbia. We have the natural resources, we have the critical minerals, we have clean energy, and most importantly, we have talented people in British Columbia that can help us lead economic growth. I think the future for British Columbia is bright. This new strategic investment fund helps us unlock a whole host of economic opportunities, and we're hearing from partners from all over the world that want to be here in British Columbia. I want to thank the speakers that are coming because they've been strong leaders in not only advocating for this type of funding, but for their sectors as well. So thank you so much, and I'll pass it back to Darlene.
Thank you, Minister Kahlon. Now please welcome Leann Collins, the Director of Projects and Stakeholder Relations for the Association of British Columbia Marine Industry.
Good afternoon, Premier, Minister, Parliamentary Secretary, ladies and gentlemen. The Association of British Columbia Marine Industries represents the industrial marine sector in BC, and that's a sector comprising almost 1,100 companies, which are sustaining close to 35,000 jobs and generating almost $8 billion in revenues. Investments made through the BC Strategic Investment Fund will build on the province's rapidly growing and capable marine and defense industry by driving innovation and creating great jobs for BC workers, all the while strengthening local supply chains and increasing exports. The fund will provide the tools to enable government to work with industry in bringing federal investment to the province as targeted in the province's Look West strategy, as also it will leverage the opportunities presented in Canada's new defense industrial strategy. BC's strong marine and defense sector offer world-class dual-use capabilities that can support military needs while boosting innovation, exports, and supply chains. BC is home to outstanding and innovative companies that are really eager to partner with government to seize new economic opportunities embedded in the Look West strategy. In this strategy, BC is a key partner in enabling Canada to make generational procurement commitments in order to strengthen defense capabilities, sovereignty, and domestic capacity. For the marine sector in particular, the Look West strategy has identified targeted objectives that include securing 35% of federal contracts coming through the National Shipbuilding Strategy within the next 10 years. Other objectives include growing BC's vessel maintenance, repair, and overhaul sector by 50%, and building a ship recycling industry in the province in partnership with First Nations. The BC Strategic Investment Fund will enable our industry to make capital investments to build capacities and capabilities to successfully deliver on these objectives, while also integrating our advanced technologies into the maritime and defense supply chains. Another very welcome aspect of the Strategic Investment Fund is that it will enable our province to co-invest directly with our businesses and to participate in their revenue growth. And our industry is very encouraged by this initiative. So on behalf of ABCMI, we very much look forward to seeing the BC Strategic Investment Fund and the positive impact it will have on British Columbians today and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Leann. It's great to hear your support. And now to another supporter of this initiative. I'd like to invite Wendy Hurlburt, President and CEO of Life Science British Columbia, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. It's both a pleasure and honor to take part in today's announcement. This is a significant initiative for our province and for the future of BC's economy. The BC Strategic Investment Fund will help level the playing field for BC companies as they compete nationally and globally for partnerships and investments. For the life sciences sector, of which BC has the fastest growing in Canada, this is especially critical. BC is the epicenter of Canadian biotechnology and home to world-class innovation that is directly relevant to national defense and resilience. This fund positions us to seize new opportunities as the federal government increases investments in areas such as defense and biosecurity. Our sector has long excelled at research and discovery and is known globally as being world-class in this area. We outpace the rest of the country in company creation and are leading as we translate research into companies that are commercializable. However, for years, we've lacked the resources needed to scale through late-stage development and commercialization. This flexible, partnership-based approach provides a powerful new tool, enabling companies to work with the province, leverage federal programs, and attract global capital at every stage of growth. That growth means more high-quality jobs, more innovative health solutions for people in British Columbia, and a stronger, more diversified economy for the province. Today's announcement sends a bold signal that BC is ready to play a leading role in advanced dual-use technologies and building industries that are of strategic importance, not only for the province, but for the country, resulting in job creation, increased prosperity, greater resilience, and sovereignty for our province and Canada. I want to congratulate Premier Eby, Minister Kahlon, and the Government of British Columbia for taking this bold step and creating this fund.
Thank you, Wendy. It's always great to have your support. Before we wrap up, I want to invite Premier Eby back to the podium as we open the floor to media for questions.
Thanks very much for joining this afternoon. I did want to raise an issue that was not a core part of the press conference just in advance of coming here. I learned that the Senate committee that was studying Bill C-12, which relates to immigration federally, has recommended removing a number of provisions from the bill. First of all, I think it's important to take a step back and recognize why these provisions are in this bill. In south of Fraser right now, people are living in fear around extortion. They have seen people be arrested who are engaging in this activity. They have been glad to see police taking action and arresting people. But then they've seen those same individuals turn around and, despite being in Canada for an extended period, file a refugee claim to frustrate law enforcement processes and their removal, in this case, back to India. It's one of the significant reasons why these provisions in Bill C-12 exist. When I was in Ottawa visiting recently with the Prime Minister and key ministers, one of the key messages I tried to deliver to decision makers in the Parliament and the Senate was to move quickly to bring the changes around the criminal code and the Immigration Refugee Protection Act into place as quickly as possible to respond to the anxiety of the families south of the Fraser that our current laws are not up to the moment, that they are seeing slow motion terror attacks in their community and a system that is prioritizing the people engaging in this terrorism activity over their families, and that the changes in the law are necessary to protect those families and to give law enforcement the tools they need to arrest and deport, if necessary, people who are involved in this. It is urgent. I cannot underline that enough. It is urgent. So to see that the Senate not only didn't hear that message about speeding things up, but is actually proposing to remove the very provisions that would protect the people south of the Fraser from this wildly frustrating attack on the integrity of our immigration and refugee system and protection for people engaged in activity that makes them feel unsafe at night, I have to question, we look to the Senate for sober second thought. I have to question whether there is thought and frankly, whether there's sobriety in the Senate chamber around this matter. They should be asking themselves, does this go far enough? Do we need to be adding additional provisions? And in fact, we're seeing the opposite. I call on the senators to respond to the Senate committee recommendation with an authoritative, no, we will not stall this bill any longer. We will pass it, we will put it in place, and we will protect the people south of the Fraser.
Thank you, Premier, and thank you everyone for joining us here today in Victoria. We're going to take questions from the media now. All members of the media will have one question and one follow-up. For media on the phone line, please remember to press *1 to enter the queue and to unmute yourself when called upon. We're going to start here at the base with Katie DeRosa from CBC.
Premier, I'm going to double barrel this. Do you have an update on the number of refugee claims that are refugee relation charges? And with Minister Solomon meeting with OpenAI today, what do you hope comes out of that meeting? And what do you expect the federal government to mandate the company to do?
No, Katie, I don't have those numbers. I'll ask the team to do our best to get you the latest numbers that we have. In terms of the meeting the federal minister is having with OpenAI, I don't have any update on that. The expectation that I have is pretty straightforward. The federal government needs a reporting threshold for all artificial intelligence companies that deliver services in Canada, where they must report to law enforcement. So there's no judgment calls in a back room that Canadians don't have line of sight to that put our kids and families at risk. There needs to be a clear and transparent threshold that protects the companies. They are protected in terms of any privacy concerns. They're just following the law. But most importantly, it protects Canadians. The news that OpenAI might have had the opportunity to stop this terrible tragedy in Tumbler Ridge is just devastating for families in Tumbler Ridge. And I think for families across Canada, people across Canada who have been devastated by this tragedy. And that question about what OpenAI knew when and what decisions they made in light of that information are questions that we will answer in British Columbia through either a coroner's inquest process, through the police investigation, or if necessary, through a public inquiry.
Follow-up, Katie?
Do you expect the BC government to sue OpenAI, or do you think the families have grounds for a class action lawsuit?
I think that there's definitely an open question about the remedies that are available to the families in this situation. Having been up there, I've got to say this is the last thing that families are thinking about. They're trying to put their lives back together, knowing that there's a gap that will never be filled, and it will be probably some length of time before they're turning to these kinds of approaches. But without question, when you hear that there was an early warning that staff allegedly were coming together asking for police to be notified, and the call was made not to notify police. Certainly, one of the questions that comes to my mind is, does that create legal liability for OpenAI and certainly some level of accountability? It's such an awful thing, and at a minimum, I hope that as a province, as a country, we can learn from this tragedy and prevent similar things from happening again.
Next, we'll head to Wolfgang Deppner from the Canadian Press.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my question. Question regarding the PST. So this morning, a group of business leaders came out and called on your government to scrap the PST expansion. What is your response to that demand? Thank you.
Yeah, I understand there's a call to reinstate the HST in British Columbia. It's a very simple answer. The answer is no. We have done our best to minimize impact on British Columbians through this budget in terms of affordability concerns while protecting core services and leaning government and putting in place initiatives like this $400 million fund to grow the economy, because that's really the only way that we're going to be able to deliver the services that British Columbians count on. Reinstating the HST is a non-starter for us. If there are things we can do to support business with reducing paperwork, bureaucracy, other things, that's good news for them and good news for us. We'll do that work any day of the week. But layering an additional level of tax on British Columbians right now is a non-starter.
Follow-up, Wolf?
Yeah, can you sort of expand on the possibility that the government could be going after OpenAI? What currently stands in the way for going after OpenAI? Thank you.
Well, I mean, for starters, we don't know actually what OpenAI knew and when they knew it, what information they had, and that information is all held by the RCMP right now. And the only reason we know about it was an investigative report by the Wall Street Journal. And so, I think that, first of all, I'm grateful for the investigative reporters that did that work. Secondly, although it's cold comfort for the families, eventually OpenAI did do the right thing by bringing forward this information so that police could have it as part of their investigation. And ultimately, we'll hear from the police about what their investigation has revealed. And if that doesn't answer the questions that British Columbians and our government and what I have and what the families have, then we will answer those questions through a coroner's inquest or a public inquiry.
Next, we'll head to Mark Page from the Black Press.
Hi, Premier. In the wake of the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, do you plan to advocate in any way for stronger gun control legislation?
There's a couple different sets of questions I think that people have following the horrific tragedy in Tumbler Ridge. The first set of questions relates to our mental health system and making sure that whatever flags were identified, that they were appropriately communicated between agencies, that we didn't have an opportunity through the mental health system somehow to intercept or do a better job here. I think that's a really important set of questions. There's questions about guns. Why were the guns in the house? Why were the guns returned? What guns were available? Where did they come from? This is a core part of the police investigation as well. And now there's a question about online service providers. What information did they have? When did they have it? Whether it's social media or whether it's AI. RCMP have issued, I understand, preservation orders across online accounts that the shooter may have been involved in. And it will be an important question as well. I suspect there will be other areas that come up where British Columbians want answers. Our first opportunity to have those answers is the police investigation's conclusions. But moving on, we'll use our processes available to the province to ensure that every question is answered and that we have a clear path forward in terms of how we can minimize the risk of this ever happening again.
Follow up, Mark?
Yeah, currently at the moment, the federal assault-style firearm buyback program is just getting underway. This program is specifically aimed at preventing mass shootings, according to gun control advocates. And some of the firearms, at least one of the firearms that was connected to the household, would be covered under this buyback program. Why is BC not financially supporting the program, and why is it not directing local police to participate in the program?
This is a federal program. We're supportive of police participating in the program, which I think may make us one of the only provinces in Canada other than Quebec that actually supports police participating in this program. The reason why we support it is we see the impact of semi-automatic rifles in communities in our province, not the least of which was this most recent horrific incident in Tumbler Ridge. And the federal government is going to engage in that program, and police are going to support it as they have resources to do it. So I'm proud that our province supports it. But the questions about the guns from Tumbler Ridge and gun control recommendations that will come for that, we will get to the bottom of those questions for British Columbians, while recognizing that the federal government is responsible for gun control legislation in Canada.
Next, we're going to head to the phone lines with Catherine Urquhart from Global News. Go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, hi, Premier. Good afternoon. Given BC's financial picture, is it appropriate for the province to be buying gift cards for employee recognition?
Thanks, Catherine. It's a pretty broad question. We don't pay commensurate to what the private sector can offer comparably skilled people. And we don't pay our staff, including our political staff, what they would get paid in other provinces. We often use incentives to support staff and find ways to recognize them. We have an annual event where we recognize exceptional work by the public service. There have been questions about that. I have to say we have an exceptional and an incredible public service that does work every day for British Columbians and delivers for them. We have to find ways to be competitive to hire the best people. which includes things like our remote work policy to make sure that the entire province is represented in the public service. It's appropriate to ask questions. Are these appropriate benefits and so on? I don't take any objection to that, but I also want to recognize that these are people that are taking below average pay for their qualifications, doing amazing work for the people of BC. And frankly, they're doing it with less people. We've had a hiring freeze in place for more than a year. We've shrunk the core public service by about 2,000 people. We've shrunk health authority employees by about 2,100 people. We're going to reduce the public sector by 15,000 more people. Those folks who are left behind are going to have to work harder than ever, and we're going to support them in doing that important work for British Columbians.
And do you have a follow-up, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, last year you encouraged everyone to buy Canadian, and yet many of these gift cards were from an American company. Are you okay with that?
I don't know what specific gift cards you're talking about, Catherine, but I can tell you that we had some significant internal discussions about companies like Amazon, for example. Here's a company that has a significant footprint in British Columbia. They have thousands of employees here, not just in distribution centers and driving, but in office functions that are located in their major office in downtown Vancouver. Some are conversations about Microsoft and other providers. We have done our best to make sure that we're buying Canadian first, supporting Canadian businesses. That's what today's announcement is actually about, how we can anchor more investment here in British Columbia and support Canadian companies. And we're going to continue to do that work going forward.
Next, we'll head to Justine Hunter from the Globe and Mail. Go ahead, Justine.
Thank you for taking my question. Obviously some interest in whether the shooter's AI chat should have sent up a red flag, but also lots of questions closer to home. You indicated, I think last week, Mr. Eby, that you had questions for Northern Health about what treatment provided to Jess. I'm wondering, have they backed you? What have they told you?
Yes, we've asked Northern Health to make sure that they're providing to police, they're collecting all of the information they have across their system, any information related to contacts that this shooter may have had with the health system. Because we have a distributed health system and not one central medical record for individuals in the province, something that we're working on trying to address. These records are stored separately at hospitals, on archived digital records, in handwritten notes, potentially with different service providers. The work that Northern Health is doing to collect all of this information to make sure it's available to police and ultimately for a coroner's inquest or public inquiry is important work, and that work is well underway.
Do you have a follow-up for the Premier, Justine?
This is a bit speculative, but given what we know about shortages of mental health services right across the province, how confident are you that the answers will suggest that the services that were needed were actually provided here?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed answer about that, Justina. In Tumbler Ridge itself, we've been struggling to recruit and retain doctors to keep the healthcare center open for primary physical care emergency room-like services. We've had to move from a 24-hour model to a daytime model with enhanced ambulance service because of those challenges. It is a challenge we face across the province in rural communities, recruiting and retaining healthcare professionals, never mind mental health services. But there have been some positive pieces as well. In Dawson Creek, we had a child and youth mental health services team stood up that also provides services a day a week in Tumbler Ridge. We have additional resources in the budget around supports in schools for counselors and teachers that are trained in counseling to provide support to students going forward. So there are services available. We've been increasing services, including in Tumbler Ridge, but there's no way I'm satisfied with the healthcare services in rural communities, period, let alone mental health services. And that's why we've got a new medical school opening in Surrey, training community health workers, doctors and others to be able to deliver that care.
Next, we'll head to Rob Shaw from Check News. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, hey, Premier, can I just go back on the business concerns about the PST? Because your response was about the HST. So I just would like your response on their specific call to halt and not execute the PST expansion to the professional services that they're talking about?
Yes, we made frankly, a difficult decision. We don't want to put any additional taxes on anyone. It doesn't matter whether it's businesses, individuals, or families. We made the decision to add PST to professional services, accounting services, and other professional services, just like we have PST on legal services. It is an additional burden on the business community, but there are benefits that flow to the business community through the budget as well. When they have female employees, that are able to work full-time because there is adequate childcare in their community, that is a benefit for business. In fact, we saw more women returning to full-time work in British Columbia than anywhere else in Canada. And a lot of what drove our employment growth overall, we were second in Canada last year, 35,000 new jobs, is women being able to return to the workforce. Having adequate healthcare in communities is a benefit to employers that are trying to recruit, especially in rural and remote areas. And being able to open that new medical school and deliver those workers to those communities is really important as well. I could go down the list, but today we're talking about a $400 million fund that is going to anchor major investment in British Columbia and help us participate in the federal government's commitment to spend 5% of GDP on defense, things like biodefense and marine defense, shipbuilding, and other investments. This will be a massive set of investments for benefiting British Columbia businesses. So the budget tried to find that balance between recognizing that our economy has shifted increasingly to service provision, and we have to be able to have revenue to fund public services, as well as support for businesses going forward.
Follow-up, Rob?
Sure. I guess, could you respond to the mining sector? So both mineral exploration and the Mining Association that stood with the businesses today and said, this is going to have a huge impact on them with engineering and geotechnical work. There was an example of a mine that might have to spend millions more dollars a year to cover those costs. And they were questioning why you're coming to them, asking them to help grow the economy with their projects, but downloading millions of dollars in new costs onto them. And what they viewed as unintended consequences, but nonetheless, they were confused about your approach. Just wondered if you could respond to that.
Yeah, thanks. We're really proud of our work with the mining sector. We've had 4 major new mines or mine expansions approved in the last year. So that's one every 3 months. We have reduced our permitting times dramatically to the point that the Mount Milligan mine expansion resulted in that company saying other jurisdictions need to look at what we're doing in British Columbia about permit approvals. Mining is a significant part of the $15 billion in major projects that we're seeing coming forward in the next 12 months. And also what is driving the North Coast transmission line expansion work that's going to significantly increase investment in the Northwest. We have put huge supports in place for the mining sector, and we're going to keep doing that. We're going to work with them on the alignment of the federal credits and ensure there are no unintended consequences in terms of our work there. But the mining sector is the beneficiary of $3 million in additional investment of people to help move permits faster, as well as other supports around training in this budget. We'll work with them to make sure we're doing our best to support them through this process.
Next, we'll head to Alec Lazenby from the Vancouver Sun.
Hi, Premier. Going back to OpenAI and Tumbler Ridge, I wanted to ask, you said yesterday that OpenAI was looking at opening an office in BC after all of the revelations that have come forward about what they didn't share with authorities. Is that something that you're still open to, or, through the events of the past week or so necessitate, different conversations?
Well, our only priority right now with OpenAI is getting clarity for the people of British Columbia, for the families of Tumbler Ridge, about what they knew when and whether this could have been prevented, and to ensure that we learn lessons from that nationally in terms of AI systems, and that we have that national standard in place. I'm going to be, I have requested sit down with OpenAI to be able to, I've asked my staff to set that up so that we are able to engage with them on these things and to send the message. I mean, I will never forget sitting at that table in a meeting room at Columbia Resources and talking to a dad who walked me through the last moments of his child's life. And I felt like I came out of that a different person, and I was only, it was from just a conversation with the dad whose life has been changed forever. So I want them to know that. I want them to hear that from me. I want them to meet with the families. I want them to look in the eyes of these families and tell them why they made the call they did. And ultimately, I want British Columbians to know what they knew.
And Alec, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. In terms, sorry, I'll just let the sound subside a bit.
Sure.
Okay, I'll just go for it. In terms of, what you're going to be looking for moving forward, in terms of what the communication was between OpenAI and the Premier's office. I know they asked for RCMP contact details, but what exactly was that conversation like with the Premier's office? Did you ask why they needed contact details? Did you ask for clarification? Because I know that happened on the 12th, the day after the second meeting with OpenAI.
Yeah, at no point did OpenAI indicate to us why they were asking for a contact with the RCMP, and I'll ask my team to see what we can provide in terms of any documentary record related to this. The revelations in the Wall Street Journal caught us by surprise, and never in a million years would have occurred to anybody to say, "Hey, do you guys have inside information on what happened in Tumbler Ridge?" And certainly OpenAI didn't volunteer that information.
And that concludes today's event. Thank you
very
everyone
much
for joining us.